I guess my big issue is, man, I mean, I get overly critical.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like I as I guess a high achiever, a lot of us are always like very hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And so like, we're very critical. And so it's like, you take the wins and you're like, all right, cool. Like that was the win. That's fine. But I should have did this. I could have did this better. Right. And so I find myself doing that with other people too. And so, it's obviously like mixing in praise and all that, but then like how, you're the kindest guy in the world, but how do you also let people know where they got to improve? And
yeah, well, there's a difference between being kind and being nice.
Okay.
And being kind and being soft.
Okay. We'll get to that word soft here in a second.
I'm not soft.
Okay. They laugh because
Aaron's gone. Like,
that's my favorite word it's my favorite. Like, I think most people are soft.
Yeah. I'm not soft.
Yeah.
And in fact, I had a conversation today with someone about a cultural issue.
And you told them they're soft?
No, yeah, I did. Actually, I did tell them. I did tell them they were soft.
All right, pastor says it's okay to tell people.
And I said, you ignored this problem that will end up becoming a crisis because you don't want to deal with the tension. You're soft. And I said, I need you to go back and do this again, have a conversation with this person so that they can actually have a genuine learning moment.
Exactly.
And because what you've done is you covered up a problem.
By being nice.
And that's not kind because that person isn't going to get better and they're not going to get better to work with. I'm going to say something a little bit controversial, but when you're soft, it means that you do not believe in the greatness of the other person. You do not believe in their resilience, but worse, you do not believe that they have a desire to grow. Because when you avoid speaking to someone's life, you're actually choosing for them a limitation.
Because you're not telling them what they need to hear.
Yeah. And so I was dealing with that situation today where we have kind of an intern working through a situation. They made some bad choices and they talked them through it, but they didn't press in because they just tried to cover it up. Say, right. Hey, you shouldn't have done this. And they go, no, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
And you need to go back and through and go, okay, wait a minute. Your choices caused this kind of damage. So now we're going to work through that and you're going to process through how to repair that.
Right.
And on top of that, we're going to work through why you made those choices.
Yeah.
So that you can grow. Because if you believe a person can be a top tier leader, then they have to be able to process their failures and their mistakes and their wrong choices.
Mm-hmm. And if they can't take criticism, then
they're not going to grow. And
right.
Yeah. And so when I was young, I would say I was ruthless. And my wife would say, don't use the word ruthless. I go, no, I had a ruthless commitment to the vision and values that I was committed to in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I held myself to the highest standard in the world.
Yeah.
And I was committed to creating something really extraordinary, really inventive. No matter what I do, I strive to be the very best I can be. And when I design clothes, I mean, my clothes is expensive. I've made a $10,000 jacket.
Whoa.
And make, anoraks and hoodies and different things that are worth thousands of dollars. People always say, wait a minute, why is your stuff so expensive? And I go, because
it's the best.
I'm going to be the best. I'm going to create the best. I go and find the best fabrics in the world. I have stuff I've never released that cost me tens of thousands of dollars because it did not match my expectation of quality. And so if people realized how much I invest and how much I actually sacrifice to try to get to a level of excellence, then they would understand. And I want that for the people on my teams. I want them to have a commitment to being the highest expression of themselves. They don't need to be me. And they don't need to be anyone else, but I want them to do some self-evaluation and go, what do I really want of my life?
Yeah.
What's the standard that I have for my life? And then if that standard matches us organizationally, then you're the right match. But if it doesn't mean you're not a good person or that I'm not a good person. It just means we're not a good match.
Yes.
For working together. I move fast, Ryan. And I take really hard risks. And it can be, I have a team that's been with me for 20 years. I mean, some of them have been with me for a long, long time. They've been with me when I was doing church. They were with me in the business world. They were with me in fashion and film. They come back with me to Mosaic. They've just been with me the whole time. And they will tell you working for me is like working in a tornado.
Yeah.
But they also tell you in 20 years, I've never yelled at them one time.
Right.
And even last night when I was working through some things and I was very frustrated, I sent a little text saying, I want to be clear, I am not mad. Because texts come across really harsh.
Yeah.
So I sent a text, I'm not mad, but I'm not satisfied.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This does not meet my expectations.
Yeah.
And I walked through and said, here, 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 here. And then, my executive, chief of staff, she sent me a note back. You're never mad, but we want this feedback. We need this to get better.
Yeah.
And that's why she's still with me 20 years later, because she's always looking to improve. But It wasn't her. It was someone that she had to meet with.
Yeah.
And I said, you let them off the hook.
Yeah.
I don't let me off the hook. And I don't want you to let me off the hook. And so let's assume everyone wants to grow until they tell us differently.
So what you're describing is basically like how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's two things that I am trying to reconvey back into the culture. And so tell me, maybe you'll help me formulate what I'm trying to say. So on one side, you mentioned the soft side. And I've said that's like, I don't want to say it's my favorite word, but it's like the way I describe soft is that you're either complacent, you're either entitled, or you just don't realize like how good you have it and you're complaining. And that's, to me, soft, right?
And that's exactly what's happening. Somebody was complaining.
Yeah. It usually is from complaining.
But they were not complaining up or even complaining parallel. They were complaining down.
Right.
Which actually hurts the culture.
Yes. Yes. And so for me, I'm like, well, you're soft. Like you don't even know what hard is. Like you're complaining about a situation that's not even worth complaining about. Right. And then two, it's like that goes back to, like you're capable of more. And it's like, I would never call somebody soft who's like doing their absolute best and it's not, that great, right? Like their talent level is just not quite there, but they're giving it their all. But if I see somebody who's got great talent, yet they're complaining and, bad attitude, whatever, right? I'm like, you're soft. That's just how I see it. Right or wrong, I don't know if that's the right wording, but that's my definition. And I don't want those people.
Those people wouldn't be happy in your organization anyway.
They wouldn't what?
They wouldn't be happy.
Oh yeah, right. I'm going to push them.
And so you're doing them a great gift.
by like letting it be known. And
because there are places that people can work and be soft.
Yeah.
And still be super valued.
That's true.
And so what I want to say is like, if you're listening and you're soft, you're loved and you have value.
There's places you can work.
But you don't want to work in a high driving organization.
No, you don't.
And that's a difference is that, and I just think as someone, it's just being self-aware.
Yeah.
Like Mosaic, even, as a church, Mosaic is incredibly futuristic. I mean, it's high risk, high invention.
Yeah.
It moves fast. It's not like other places.
Yeah.
And I just let people know, hey, this is a different place. This is a hard place to work. This is a place where you have to have massive ambition. You have to have a lot of energy. I use a deep psychological assessment, and that allows me to factor in a person's physical energy.
Okay.
It's on a scale of 1 to 99.
Okay.
And my physical energy is somewhere around 96.
I see that.
and I have some people on my team whose physical energy was like at 2. And I had to decide when I was looking at this assessment, do you fire those people?
So once again, I'm glad you actually brought this up because this is one of my things of like leaders, especially in sales, where it's a very high energy job, right? And so if your leader is not high energy, that permeates to everyone else.
Absolutely. But let me tell you, my guy with a 2 score is one of my best guys now.
Okay.
I sat down with him. I said, your physical energy capacity is simply not what mine is.
Yes.
So you can't model your life on my life.
You're not going to be a 96.
Yeah. And so using me as a model for the patterns you want to establish is not good. Let's figure out how to take your 2 and optimize it so that every time you're in the room, that 2 feels like a 99.
Right.
Because even if you're a 2, if you are intentional, you can come in with 99 energy.
For spurts.
Yeah, for spurts.
Yeah.
And so you just need to realize you got like 90 minutes and then you got to step back.
You're going to burn out.
You're going to burn out.
Yeah,
You'll get a latte, and a croissant or something.
No, you can't eat gluten when you're a 2.
No, that's
you're
true.
Be
that's
done.
true. And then and he actually feels like a 99 every single time he's in the room.
Yeah. And I feel like that too. Like I've my energy is definitely not a 96, but when I go on stage or whatever, I'm like, all right, time to bust it to a 99 and let's crank, you know, like I just know how to turn it on and off. Yeah. And that comes from sports. It's like, oh, it's game time. Yeah. Let's go.
And I learned this from watching Jim Brown. Wait, you're too young.
I know he is. But
okay.
Yeah.
One of the greatest running backs who ever lived.
Yep.
Whenever Jim Brown got tackled and he would walk back to the huddle, he looked like he was either injured or ready to pass out. he would just move so slow and he seemed like he had no energy left. And then the moment that ball was snapped, he would explode.
Right.
And so I realized, and I fortunately got this early in life. It's not about time management. It's about energy management.
Yes. 1,000%.
And Jim Brown had this, I don't know if it was a conscious or unconscious ability to manage his energy so that he only exploded when necessary.
Yes.
And there were a series of years where I traveled across the country speaking in coliseums of 20, 30, 40,000 people every single week. So I was traveling all over the country every Friday night in a different city, speaking this massive, stadiums. And it was, and I would fly back to LA. I was a dad. My kids were in school. I'm married. I'm also leading Mosaic at the same time and running a business.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to manage my energy. And so I would look like I was dormant, half asleep before I walked onto that stage.
Yep.
And then most of these places, they were super extroverted. So they'd want me to hang out with them before I spoke. And they wanted me to be in this meeting. And they were a Christian, so they wanted me to be in a prayer meeting with them. And and I said, you have 2 options. I can either be in all the stuff with you guys that made you feel really good before I speak and be average on stage.
Yeah.
Or I can be released from all of this and maybe be extraordinary on stage.
Yeah.
And so I would just walk around the coliseums and walk around the stadiums by myself, highly introverted. And then when I walked on stage, I would explode with energy.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to manage energy, not time. And one of the things I work a lot with people is helping them understand their energy flow, their physical energy, their emotional energy, their social energy, and walk through different energy spaces and go, this is what's actually extracting the most energy from you.
Yes.
Like you could be an extroverted person who experiences massive social energy from people. Or you could be, or you could be a person who has massive social energy but low physical energy.
Right.
And or you could be a person who has very low social energy but high physical energy.
Me.
And then other people have high emotional energy and decision making. And so what happens is that if you use a lot of emotional energy in decision making, making hard decisions costs you a lot. Yeah. And you feel exhausted when it's over.
Yeah.
And if you use low emotional energy in decision making, you actually can make a lot of decisions and it doesn't bother you at all.
Yeah.
And so there's 4 different arenas I usually look at. And I think this is where it's really important to know how to help people optimize who they are so they can be at their best at any moment. And with my team, I go, look, I don't care how drained you are when you're not needed.
Yeah.
I don't care how introverted you are. I don't care how non-relational you are.
Yeah.
The moment it's go time, you need to, I don't care if you're an introvert, you are extroverted.
Yes.
You know, I don't care if you have low physical energy, you have high physical energy at this moment.
It's time to step up.
Yeah, it's time to step up. And that's where it's about being fully present.
Yeah.
And when you have people who are willing to be fully present, then you have a really great team.
Yeah. So I guess to sum up, do you think that, I don't know, saying that somebody is soft is, I don't know, just like negative, or should I just stop doing it and keep it to myself and be like, I mean, they're just soft. I don't know what else to do. I'm just like, you know, I'm going to always call people out for how they're going to improve. That's the culture.
I tend to think people are soft if they're unteachable.
Yeah.
And that would probably be where I would use it. Like you can't take critique.
Yeah.
But
or you get offended easily.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
No. If you can't take critique, if you're not teachable, you get offended really easily.
Yeah.
And one, it's more important for people to recognize when they're soft. You're soft when you criticize.
Yes.
And when you're talking about other people, and I said this today in my meeting with my chief of staff, criticizing others is a psychological default mode to give yourself permission to not take personal responsibility.
Correct. Yeah.
And so when you start critiquing other people, you don't have to take personal responsibility for your underachievement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You never hear criticism from people who are overachieving.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have time to think about what other people are doing wrong. You know, I'm worried about my people and getting the most out of them, right? And making them the best that they can be.
So, you know, I would say you can say people are soft if that's a part of the culture. You know, they know that you use that language.
Yeah.
I would never do it in a room in front of other people.
Okay. That's my problem too.
Yeah. I used to do that when I was your age.
Okay.
And it was really detrimental to the culture.
Okay. So that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you have to realize when you do that, it's for you and not for them.
Okay.
Because you're just mad.
Yeah.
You know, because you're trying to tell the culture, I do not allow softness.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're going to call someone out for being soft, it should always be first one-on-one.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Because then you give a person a chance to change.
Well, I guess to not publicly calling people out one-on-one, but like, I don't know. And I guess if you're
affirm publicly, critique privately.
Right. Okay.
It's the way to create a healthier culture.
Yeah.